name is Chrissy Clements. Everyone watches accesstv.org.
Welcome. My name is Sam Cephas, the host of a new educational series named Education One. The focus and the mission of Education One is to look at the breadth and the depth of the educational system in Connecticut and to speak to those individuals that are accountable for the decision makers in education. Our job is to keep youths informed and keep them up to date with accurate information and to look at exactly how the dropout, truancy, failing schools, and actually also look at the kids or the students that are actually going from a failing grade to actually a high grade or something of actually working their way to the top to actually a good grade. Next to me right here, I have a woman I've been knowing for a long time, at least 18 plus years. She came from the Big J, Jamaica, well over 30 years ago. She has two girls and a boys that are very successful. She started a small business, and she's one of the hottest women right now that is in education. Plus, she runs a powerful neighborhood organization in the south end of Hartford. Her name is Hyacinth Yennie. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me over.
The things that I haven't mentioned in the beginning, tell the viewers a little bit of what I didn't mention.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I started advocating for my children. That's where I started advocating for education and quality of life stuff in general. When my daughter was at kindergarten, because one of the first things I used to make to do happen to go into school with my kids, and that's what I did, and I did it on the last day they graduated. Okay. And fortunately, I had the opportunity and the time to do that. Having a small business, you can be your own boss, so you can go and come as you please. However, one of the things I noticed when I went into school was there was no after-school activities for the kids after school. And as you know, statistically, they said 3 to 6 are the most dangerous time for children. That's when they get into a lot of trouble. And when I found that out, a couple of us parents decide, well, what are we going to do about that? So what we did was, decide what we're going to ask for funding for after-school program. And the principal didn't, act like he had any money.
Okay.
So we decided to organize some other school and decided to go to the governor's mansion.
Okay.
That was my first act of activism.
What year was that?
I think that was in maybe like about 85.
Okay.
Yeah. And we took a bus trip to the governor's mansion up in Prospect Street and went there to advocate, to ask the governor for funding for our schools so we can do after school program. And lo and behold, what the thing was, your school have after school program money. They call it 3 to 6 at that time.
Okay.
But no principal was going to tell us that they have the money because you know what? They're spending it in other things.
So it was holding it back on you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we went back to the school and said, no, the governor told us that you have money. Oh, yes. Well, yeah. Let's say, okay. Well, yes, you have funding. So let's organize something that will help our parents after school with their kids. So we started a program by the name of Organized Parents Make a Difference.
Okay.
That means we, the parents, was going to take responsibility to run those programs. And we started off in 12 schools. Okay. All right? And this...
Where are we now?
Where are we now?
From 1985 to
It
now.
seems like we went backwards because as administration, like superintendent comes in, they take money away from after school programs. So that means now we have to fight for program money and we have to go to organizations such as like the Foundation, United Way, and different places there where you can find the money. But most time, the superintendent are the one that makes a decision what happened after school. As you know, now we have, our previous administration superintendent, he came in and he took away all those money from our program. So
And who's that now?
Who's the superintendent?
The previous superintendent.
Previous superintendent is Super Adamaski.
Okay.
His name is Super Adamaski, I call him.
Okay.
Because he think he was God gifts to us, and he came in and he saved us.
Right.
Well, honey, he did not save us. He put us more in debt, and he destroyed more of our children.
Well,
because
I know reading in the Hartford Current and some other articles that when he left Hartford, he went to the Windham County, hasn't he?
yes, and you know what bothers me the most? Because the people in the State Board of Education doesn't seems to understand. I just recently went to one of the State Board of Education meeting that they have, and they usually have it every first Wednesday of the month
Okay.
at the Capitol at
Right.
9:30, and you
Okay.
can speak publicly. And one of the things I said to the board, I said, you're all sitting there, you do not know what's going on in general in some of our school system, and it's alarming and it's disgraceful. And we are in Hartford especially, we are more segregated now than we were ever before, because now the kids that are doing well are in magnet schools, and the ones that maybe not doing all that well doesn't get into the lotto, so they're in the regular public school.
Well, looking at what you just finished saying, in 1997, myself and others like yourself helped me build a company named MC Square. And from 1997 to the present, it seems like it's a very tough niche or tough nut to break when you come into the Hartford Public School system. Tell me why.
Well, there's so much bureaucracy goes on within the Hartford Public School system. It's like, I do not want you to know what's going on behind closed door. We have superintendent, I remember Adamaski. As a matter of fact, I have been involved because my kids went to Hartford High, and I've been involved with Hartford High for quite a while. I fought to get a bonding pass to get the renovation of Hartford Public School. But when Adamaski came into the school as superintendent, one of the things I noticed was he tried to keep certain people out, people who would know what's going on and know the right thing. And he did not want people to know the right thing. Because he put this facade on, and everyone, he usually will tell the teachers, do not talk to board members or anyone else. But because I have a good relationship with the teachers, they would tell me a lot of stuff that was wrong.
So what is the difference between the old superintendent and the new superintendent today?
There's no difference. It's a continuation of what he did. Okay, what he did not do. Okay, because as he came in and he said he moved the graduation rate from 26% to 50-something percent. How do you think he got there? How do you think he got there?
Tell me.
All right. So he decided to come in and break up, especially Hartford High and Weaver and the Buckley. He calls them different names. He said, well, you would be in charge of this academy, you would be in charge of that academy, I'll be in charge of this academy. Now, when it were all in one, you graduate maybe 100 or something kids, and maybe most of them were going places. But now you have 300 or 400. I have the same amount, or you have the same amount. I'm expecting you to graduate 100 or 100 a little more, and so go the three of us.
And you put it all together.
And you put it all together,
Okay.
and you get that 300 or whatever, 400. But what are we graduating them to? Are we graduating them that they go off to wonderful, beautiful college and they can afford it and they're qualified to go off to those college? No. And I know that for sure.
I know under the old mayor, Eddie Perez, and stop me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think I am. We had a invisible wall, I call it, the north end versus the south end. Under Eddie's reign, most of the money went to the south end.
No, that's not true.
That's not true?
That's not true.
All right.
No. depends on what you're talking about. What happened was
Right.
the perception when it goes to education
Right.
was, oh, we have better school in the South End.
Okay.
They were no different from the ones in the North End.
But we've high schools gone now.
Yeah, but the point, I wouldn't say it's gone.
Right.
The point is that the perception was it's over this way. So now as a parent, you're saying, oh, it's better over there, so let's move there, or let's get our kids over there.
Was that better politically or better educational wise?
It mayhaps political,
Okay.
but not education wise.
Okay.
I feel that our parents were trapped between so many different things. Now, as a parent, you want the best for your kids.
Okay.
And you're running and you're fighting for the best, and you want them into the best place because, the perception in the North, well, the schools were all falling apart. But you know why? We as parents need to stand up and fight for what we want. You don't just want to run from one place to the next, because things don't get better when you run away from an issue. It only gets worse. So by them running away from the North to the South, the school fell apart there.
Let me ask you a real key question towards this. If you was running the Hartford school system, what's the best thing we can do to make the graduation rate? Because, I'm looking at truancy and dropout rate.
Okay. The way I look at it, you want to make sure you start off your early childhood program, pre-K before kindergarten and stuff like that. You want to make sure all your children, as much as possible, get into these programs. Making sure that they're quality programs. They're not just a babysitting program. You have to have child psychology and development of children and stuff like that, how they grow, how they learn and stuff like that. And we know they talk about from K to 3, that's when they're most alike. But are we having the proper resource in those schools? Because when you look at it in general, the resource is not there. And what are the resources? You need to have the right people to do the job. You need to have the resource behind those right people, and so they'll be able to do their job. You want to make sure you're connecting with parents, all right? And so when you connect with parents in a lot of ways, you can understand where and how and why this parents.
Well, let me ask you this now. If we're looking at the right people and the right parents, and there's a lot of people came to me and said, hey, Samuel, I'd like to take part or participate in something, but the system won't allow me to take part into it. How can we actually fix that?
Well, you have to, that's what it goes back again to leadership. Some people are leaders and some people are just what you call, I want to control the leadership so I can tell you who comes in from who goes out, okay? And leadership is supposed to be an open thing. You're willing to come in, have the opportunity to show that you can become leaders too. Leadership is not something that you hold so tight that no one can get in. I don't call that leadership. I call that control freak and that Hitler mentality kind of a thing. If we can, as parents, and as I always said, and people will say, well, I'm not as strong. I said, no. When you have a child, you have to be strong for that child.
Is this one of the reasons why you build the South End NRZ? Because you have one of the most powerful NRZs in the Hartford area.
Yes, and I let everyone welcome to be a part of it, and taking responsibility for issues, but helping them by giving them the right resource to get there. Okay, and so when anyone come in, they can feel like, oh, it's just this little circle of thing. I don't deal with those kind of circle. I don't build circle. I want it open for everyone to be into that circle.
What I do know, when I go down to City Hall, and when they have their meetings once a month or whatever they have it, your name is synonymous. And everyone loves you, but some people fear you.
I wouldn't say everyone loves me.
I know people fear you also.
Yeah, because I think the point is I speak the truth, and something
Exactly.
because I'm being out there so much, I see so much things that's wrong and things that can be changed, and if somebody doesn't stand up and speak out about it, then they'll always think they're right, and everything is fine. But I believe it's the right of our people to get out and demand. And the point is that when you elect somebody, you need to hold them accountable, and you need to call them out on things that they're not doing right. Because to be honest with you, If things is not right, say I invite the mayor or somebody to a meeting and they don't show up, then I will go publicly and say, why haven't you showed up? This is not right. You know what is, you know.
Try to make them accountable.
Exactly.
Okay.
But we, the people, all of us must try to do that. It can't be just one person, you know?
You know, well, when we started this program right here, and others asked me to come on and start Education One, I said I will not start a program if we cannot speak the truth. And we're here to speak the truth.
The truth is important.
I left New York sometime in the 70s and came here, and I went to Northwest Catholic, and I hung out at Kingswood, and went to Howard and Morgan and stuff like that. But the crazy part about this whole thing is that, as you said, some things have went backwards. When I first came here, Hartford downtown was thriving. Now you seem like you have a stronghold of a few people that actually control the town. And when you come in and try to build something, it seems like either that you get pushed in the back or they overlook you.
Yeah, but you know, the way I look at it in general, when someone pushed back at me,
Okay.
I only push harder.
Harder, okay.
Because I was born not to give up.
Right.
When I put myself to do something, I am going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what obstacle come in my way. I'm going to find ways and means to get around those obstacles.
Okay.
And I know that everybody doesn't have my kind of a mentality.
Right.
But the point is that if we can get more people with that kind of a mentality, then we could be doing a lot better.
Maybe what we can do in the near future, if this is possible, to have your organization do something as a form of a conference that I like to do, and to bring those people that make decisions in the Hartford County accountable to actually where the money's going, why these things happen. Good examples like the SAT things the other day.
Oh, what the SAT? You know, that's another story.
Right.
As I said, it goes back to, here it is. We talked about it at the school, and here it is that, okay, so the superintendent says, okay, we want this much money to do SAT. Now, I was talking to a guidance counselor, and he mentioned to me, and I thought it was just the best thing to do. Not all the kids in our school are able to take SAT. If you look at, in general, the best of best kids that take our SAT, they only score like about a 700. Okay, you may have one or two score 1,000.
Right.
All right, but why do you bring 100 kids to take SAT when you know in general they're not going to be up to par?
Now, is this something that you are tracking information, or this is a money maker for someone?
It's a money making for someone else.
Okay.
Because as a guidance counsel, I could recommend to each principal.
Okay.
I only have 6 kids in my class, in my academy, that is capable of taking that SAT. Now, in the other academy may have 5 or 10 or whatever.
Right.
You put those kids together and you let them do it. But you don't just say, well, we gotta get everybody to take this SAT, when you know in general, looking at their grade, okay, so they are not capable of taking it.
So I'm looking at what you're saying is that, are we preparing the kids, or they're not prepared at all?
They are. I'm gonna be honest with you. The magnet school might be preparing them, but the other in general, few out of 1,000 may be prepared, and because they was already prepared, okay, you just continue to follow. We are not preparing our children. We are diluting the curriculum around our children in elementary school.
I've seen some of the curriculum. It is so diluted.
And if you're not doing rigor, as I said from early, how do you expect to get rigor when you get to high school? How do you manage high school? We have to fix the elementary level really, really well, and by fixing it, we need to make sure every elementary school have the proper resource. Talking to parents, making sure that parents are getting their kids to school in time, because that's one of the other big problem that we have. We have so much transit, people moving all the time.
So to listen to all this morning, what can we really do? And we may come up with a 10-point, 20-point program or something to actually hold these people accountable? What would you say?
we need to do is to get an administration in place that can say, look, first of all, we have we have a superintendent, Adamaski, previously never had a certification to be a superintendent in Connecticut. Then you have a superintendent now that when she got here, she went and do a PhD. Okay, she never had one, and then she has never taught in a school. Okay, I have gone to the board meeting.
So she has no experience at all.
No, she and I have gone to the school board and I've said to her, you know, it would be really good if you go into a classroom every so often and take the hem and teach a class. Okay, because that's the only way you can understand what it is like to teach a class.
You know, when I started MC Square with Apostle Lanier, and she's died last year, and she left me, and I was very sad. For 9 years, we taught inner city kids around Barber Street. You had Wish, you had Clark, you had Waverly, and there was like 1,500 kids, and everybody was drawn to this woman. She was a saint. And even though my background is a major or a degree was in education, I learned a lot just actually being on and doing on-hand learning and seeing how inner city kids are.
Right, and that's what's happened when Adamaski came in. What he did was to get rid of all the hands-on stuff in school.
Right.
As a matter of fact, he got rid of music and arts and all those kind of things, and decided, well, I'm going to open an art school or this school. Why do you need to open an art school?
Right.
When my kids went to school, they had art, music, everything.
He's outsourcing it.
Right.
He's outsourcing.
So so to make it look good.
Right.
Okay. But the point is, in general, that if we are not given the proper resource to do the job, we will continue in the same path. And until we can find someone who has taught, who respect teachers, because that's one of the things. When he came in, he never respect teachers, and administration right now does no respect for teachers because it's always the teacher's fault. Okay, yeah, you might have one or two bad teachers, but you know, principals are supposed to be bad if their teachers are bad. Okay, well, most times.
I know that in Hartford, and within the educational world, it seems like we have certain cliques. And what I mean by that is that if you're getting resources, it's just a pool of a small group that says, hey, we're going to write a grant and get this. If you want to come in, I want to come in, and knowing that you was in between, you didn't go on both sides, you may not be able to get into that clique.
But you know, a couple of years, as I said again, I go back to Adamaski because he's the one that came in and destroyed our school system.
Okay.
Teachers used to be able to apply for grants, so you know they can do things with their kids after school and within school time. Well, when Adamaski came in with the leadership under Eddie Perez, the situation was, I'll talk to the Hartford, those big companies that used to give those money. No more can a teacher sign off on anything. It has to sign off by the school board to say. And the superintendent decided, no, that was not going to happen anymore because there's too many money floating in within the classroom. Do you know how many teachers are paying on a monthly basis to buy supplies for their class out of their own money? A lot of money, honey. I'm going to tell you something. And all that money that was coming from those little grants that they were supposed to apply for went into the pot, we call it the sinkhole, and couldn't get out. Because no longer teachers can say, okay, I apply for this grant. I need the money to start the program that I applied for. That enhanced some of these kids' ability to do other things. All right? That did not happen anymore. It is in a pot. He formed a board. He formed a board of directors.
So you're saying that he actually started something within the system of education, and now we have a large turnover of teachers, or you just get rid of the people that actually.
That's a whole different story, honey. The teachers is a whole different story. I'm just talking about this funding that used to go into the classroom for these teachers to help their children. It doesn't happen anymore.
Because I know some of the teachers rebelled, and the ones that rebelled, I don't think
it's not a matter of rebelling. It's a matter of justice. Where is the justice? You come in and you class all of us as bad teachers. Well, that's wrong because we have some real great committed people in the system. But you know what happened when he came in? Craig start taking those good people over, because you know what, Craig respect those people, and he knows they're good teachers.
There are a lot of towns.
All right.
They're in a lot of
now,
towns.
another piece of the pie came in.
Right.
Another person is making
Right.
money
Right.
by bringing in Teach of America.
Teach America.
Teach of America is another big money
Right,
seller for
exactly.
somebody, and I
Yes.
know who it is, but I won't mention it.
That's nationwide.
But the point is that these teachers are coming in, and they're only doing it. Well, we have on our resume that we've taught in urban schools. All right, that's only good on their resume. But in fact, most of them are not staying, because when they see the condition of things, the lack of resource, the disrespect of children to them, and all those kind of things, the disrespect from administration, they no longer want to stay that long. They come in and they leave.
A few months ago, Arnie Duncan came to, I guess, the behalf of the governor, and he came in and grandfathered in Connecticut, or the Race to the Top Fund. Because in the last 3.5 years, 4 years under Obama, we could not make the grade.
Because
So
we haven't had a good RF, whatever. We did not put a good proposal together, and that's
Exactly.
why we've lost
So
it.
we grandfathered it in. I said to myself, how can you grandfather a state in knowing that we're still failing? There's over 53% dropout in truancy. How can we do that?
The point is that I'm looking at it in general, and again, we want our children to go to college, and we want them to do this, but if we are not preparing them to go to college, where else are you preparing them to go? I say we are preparing them to go either to the jailhouse or the welfare line. All right?
Okay.
We are not prepared. I said to a couple of people, why aren't we doing more vocational school within our high school? This is where we need to get them. Kids can learn by doing.
Right.
It's not always sitting at a table and writing out, doing things,
Right.
hands-on things.
Right.
Okay, we forget that there's no more plumbers coming up, no electrical people coming up, a lot of other things,
Right.
painters, things like that.
Yeah,
It's like you're fighting. You look in general. Our kids, at Hartford High, I talked to Adam Muskie when he was there, and I said, "Why are you getting rid of the computer repair class?" Oh, we won't need those anymore, because computer is going to be, you just use them and throw them out. Okay, we have to go higher than that. All our children have to go to college. Well, if you're not preparing them to go to college, you're not even preparing them to go to the real world.
Right.
What are you preparing them for?
I guess they haven't. Apparently, Dr. Abramowski haven't looked at the Geek Squad, because they're very successful in the United States.
I'm telling you, I was superintendent, and that's why they fought so hard to keep this lady in as the superintendent.
I have spoken to her. Matter of fact, let me give you a little background on Dr. Kishimoto. She's actually from the same area of the South Bronx I am, because I'm from the South Bronx. And we spoke to her in February or March of this year, of 2012. And we had a coffee. It was like 4:30. And we spoke to her for about a half an hour, as a group of us. And I says, hey, geez, how can we help you? And she's going back and forth, the things that she needed. And I says, why don't you give me 20 of your worst students that are failing? I don't want them to drop out, and let them come under the MC Square Math Genius program. And she said, no problem. 2 weeks later, Dolores Slaughter called me up and says, we can't do it.
No.
And I couldn't understand why that she called.
We know why.
I never got an answer over
Keep
that.
the kids, because that's the amount of money you get. Okay, we had Job Corps that came on a couple of years ago. That the public school working with Job Corps was awesome. When Adamowski came in, that got destroyed. No longer did he want our kids to go there. Okay, this is a program at Job Corps where you can train kids to become whatever they really want to be.
Right.
And you only go there if you want to.
It's like an apprenticeship program.
Exactly.
Right.
And it has been very successful.
Right.
Now they have stopped our kids from going there. The only way you can go, if as a parent I decide no longer am I going to send my kids in Hartford Public School, I'll just send my kids into Job Corps, because I know he or she can be trained in a couple of months.
Right.
And can get profession.
We got to stop your number. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to take a break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
All right.
Hi, my name is Lisa Brody, and everybody watches accesstv.org. Peace.
welcome back. We have a woman right here that is actually the kingpin of education, and she's actually the mover and shaker of Hartford. Mrs. H, in conclusion, and I'm telling you, I wish we had more time. I wish we did, because we can go on. What can we do, just in conclusion, of making things better in Hartford?
Oh, that's another day. That's another story and another time, honey. We don't have enough time to go into that. But we just have to keep speaking out on the issues, and put it to the forefront to let people understand that we all need to stand up for better education, because we need to make sure our force of people for the next century needs to be educated to keep things going.
We're gonna stop you on that note, but I'll see you next week. And I see you on the internet. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.